Welcome to the Israa E Show, a show that was born out of tragedy, resilience, and the urgent need to speak truth to power. Sparked by the ongoing genocide that's happening in Palestine, this podcast is going to be a space where political commentary refuses to look away. Every single week, we're going to dive into stories that are shaping our world as we know it. We're going to unpack some current political events as well as change some narratives and talk about some cultural moments that is revealing what we are and where we're headed. So this is not just your analysis type show. It's a call to stay awake, stay informed, and stay human. Again, welcome to the Israa E Show.
I've been out of my mind a long time. I've been out of my mind a long time. Chicago, North Side.
First thing we need to address, and this is a very pressing issue, is the man-made famine that Israel has created. Now, Israel's launched a campaign back on March 1st saying that they are going to now starve Palestinians, and that's exactly what's happening right now. They're created this forced starvation of the Palestinian people, and just in the past 24 hours, we had over 24 people die of hunger. And most of them children under the age of 4 who have been malnourished since the blockade in March 1st. Now, they did let some aid in on May 19th, and this was disguised under the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, and this was Israeli and US backed, and this was a complete hoax because what they're doing is they're luring these Palestinians to these sites and then killing them and claiming they're investigating or they pose a threat because they came too close. Well, these are starving Palestinians. They're coming here because they just want to be able to find a way to survive and also feed their families. Since this whole debacle has been going on, over 1,000 Palestinians have died at these Gaza humanitarian aid sites. And over 6,000 of them injured. And most of them, as you guys can guess, are children who are affected by this. One particular event that I want to talk to you guys about is this past Thursday, the 24th. They actually had a women's only aid distribution site where no men were allowed. And at this aid distribution site, they were actually seen pepper spraying women, beating the women with batons, completely humiliating them, including beating up a pregnant woman. And they also fired at them, killing 2 women. Now, one of these women's stories, I think, is just so sad. And I just want to put a name so you guys can understand the severity of the families that are affected by this. But her name was Maria Sheikh Eid. Okay, so she went out to find food for her 7 children. Her husband died a few months ago, also seeking food. And she was expecting to come home with a bag of flour to make bread so that they can survive. Instead, they brought her home in a body bag, and now her children are orphans, forced to defend and try to figure out food for themselves. And guess what? The oldest of the 7 children, what's going to happen is they're going to end up going to these Gaza humanitarian aid sites, seeking food to feed their young children, and then probably getting shot at because they're the easiest targets for these Israeli soldiers and American security guards that are at these sites. And just recently, we actually have an American soldier that went on the local channel news of in Israel, Channel 12 News, where he chose to remain anonymous and disguise his voice. But he talked about his experience and why he had to leave because he just couldn't take it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video. Take a look and listen to it.
הוא הגיע לישראל באמצע חודש מאי לעבוד כמאבטח במנגנון חלוקת המזון האמריקאי. עם ותק של שנים רבות בצבא ארצות הברית מהר מאוד הוא קודם לאחראי התפעול, אבל דבר לא הכין אותו למשימה ברצועת עזה.
There is no fixing this. This needs to be put an end to it.
What happened that made you leave? What was your red line?
There was a man who was on the ground. He was on his hands and knees, and he was picking up individual needles. The UG security personnel wanted to get the Palestinians off the site. So they start yelling, hey, let's go, let's leave. This guy wasn't armed. He wasn't a threat. So this UG contractor sprayed an entire can of pepper spray, an entire can into this guy's face. That's lethal. I was standing next to these 2 women, and this contractor throws this stun grenade, and it lands in between me and them. This thing hit her, and she just drops, just lifeless, collapsed to the ground. It looked like she had been killed. And to me, that was I could not be a part of that anymore.
As you guys can see, this is a complete abomination of humanity. And it's interesting. I mean, this is coming from a soldier that said he's been in combat in 4 different wars, combat to combat. And he's never, in his position, ever had to, was never given orders to shoot at unarmed civilians. That's exactly what these people are. They're just desperate, hungry people is trying to again, feed their families. And it's wrong. I mean, I don't understand how people out there are still trying to defend this, and they're trying to still support Israel and say like, oh, well, Hamas is the reason for all of this. No, at the end of the day, the second this war began, it wasn't a war, it was a genocide, because there's an asymmetric military power, okay? Israel has all the backing of the Western powers of the world, the US, the UK. They keep giving them all these weapons. Hamas has man-made missiles and guns. It's been an unfair fight from the beginning, and these are just defenseless people now. I mean, they're punishing the civilians, and it's completely wrong. These are all war crimes. I mean, forced starvation is a war crime, and a lot of these people that are supporting Israel are forgetting that this is exactly what happened to the Jews in the Holocaust. I mean, this is what the Nazis did. I mean, the Nazis did this loud and proud, and they were so happy to be doing it. And that's exactly what the Israeli government is perpetuating. And in my opinion, this is worse than the Holocaust, because the Holocaust, we didn't have social media. We didn't have these videos. I mean, ignorance was bliss back then. You can act like, it wasn't really happening because it was kind of easier to believe. But now we're seeing this on our phones, for the past 21 months, we've been seeing live footage of what's been going on to these poor families, these poor children. I mean, this is a whole generation lost, and there's no excuse for it anymore. I mean, this is all acts that is completely indefensible. But there's people online that still want to defend the indefensible. And for that, I have to say, I mean, low key, some part of you has died. Some part of you has died if you just cannot empathize with these poor children, these babies that are malnourished because there's just no food. There's no baby formula. Not to mention that there's aid right outside of the border of Rafah in Egypt that sits like 6,000 tons of food aid trucks ready to come in and feed all the Gazans, 1.5 million that are left, for the next 3 months. It's literally miles away from these people who are dying. And it's just really sad that there's no way, like apparently like Egypt can't do anything. They can't let the aid in, but we all know Egypt is bought out by the US. I mean, after Israel, they get the second most aid from the US. I mean, aid, but you can call it that. It's really just bribe to continue to normalize relations with Israel. Also, Jordan is the third biggest recipient of US aid, again, because Jordan is one of those countries that, is normalizing relations with Israel. But what's crazy about these countries is that, Netanyahu, a few weeks prior to October 7th, he went up to the UN and he talked about this greater Israel vision and project, that he wants. And a lot of these countries that are acting like they're friends and allies of Israel in the Middle East, I mean, they're on his list to eventually take over. I mean, right now he's trying to take over the Gaza Strip, and then eventually, they've already passed legislation to annex the West Bank. He wants to take over East Jerusalem and, give it all to the Jews. But he's not going to stop there. He wants greater part of Syria, which is why he's been bombing it at the same time. He wants a part of Lebanon, which is also why he was bombing Lebanon at the same time. Also, he wants a little bit of Iraq and a little bit of Iran, and even Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, who has a lot of investments in Israel wealth funds. They have a vested interest in Israel, like doing well and continuing to prosper because they invested billions into Israel. But a lot of people don't know that. I mean, it's all very, very hush-hush. But that's another reason why, they haven't done anything. And it's just sad. It's very sad. But for those online, okay, guys, I digress a little bit. For those online that keep supporting this abomination of humanity, this is the biggest stain on humanity since the Holocaust. I mean, I really don't have any more words. I don't know how else to express this. I mean, there's been so many people online trying to get people to see the truth, but for those who still try to deny the truth and say, oh, but it's Hamas that's the reason behind all of this. They're the ones preventing the aid from coming in. I mean, the Quran talks about this specifically for those that are in so much disbelief and arrogance and an utter and continued rejection of the truth. You know what Allah does? He ends up sealing your heart. And that's your punishment, is to continue to reject the truth. And that's your punishment in this life. And it's referred to khatam al-alb, which means sealing of the heart. It basically means spiritually your heart is dead and repentance is not possible for you anymore. So for those people that still want to defend this, there's really no point in trying to argue with these people. Allah, God, has strayed you far away for a reason. He's going to continue to stray you far away from the truth. And that's what something that you're going to have to deal with in the hereafter. So for those who fall into that category, just beware of your sealed heart. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking to the mothers who say what doing this to children is okay. I'm talking to the, neocons. I'm talking to the, always 100% day one Zionist supporters. You guys know who you are. All right. So the next thing I want to discuss has to do with Palestine and Israel. It's just a lot of pressing issues I want to go over because these are very, very important things. And again, we're here to talk about the truth and continue to spread the truth amongst all the lying that's going on. But whenever one of these U.S. representatives come up onto the podium and they try to say, this is what's going on, like we just don't believe them anymore, especially since they said that they had the Epstein files, but then all of a sudden the Epstein files don't exist. And he actually killed himself and case closed. I mean, that caused a huge uproar since they made that statement. And the MAGA movement has been definitely paying the price since then. It's just funny because Trump keeps trying to blame the Democrats and saying that Democrats are creating this scandal and this hoax. But no, Trump, you're the one that created this scandal and hoax by running on the campaign. You literally ran on the idea that you're going to release the files. Now it's coming out that in May, the DOJ, Department of Justice, actually told you that you were named in the files as they were going through it, right? Pam Bondi, she said the files were on her desk back in February of this year. Well, yeah, she notified you and told you, yeah, your name came up a few times. Doesn't mean he's implicated. Doesn't mean he's one of those creeps, those pedophiles that did all those, inhumane things to children. I believe he did. A lot of people try to say that he didn't. I mean, he was very close to Jeffrey Epstein. He's one of the people that was photographed the most with Jeffrey Epstein. People try to also come up with the argument that, once he found out what Jeffrey Epstein was, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. Actually, he didn't ban him because he was a pedophile and he had those charges against him. He banned him because apparently he hit on a minor. So you guys definitely need to check your morality facts when it comes to Trump. I don't think he's that moral. But needless to say, they have definitely caused a lot of distrust amongst the people. And we're just not buying their lies anymore. We're just not buying it. So apparently, US, Hamas, and Qatar and Israel, they were working on a 60-day ceasefire agreement. This has been in the works for the past month. Okay, but this week, US envoy Steve Witkoff literally ran away from the discussions, stating that Hamas's response clearly shows a lack of desire to reach a ceasefire. Okay, so he left. He's like, they're just not worth trying to come to terms with, so he left. So let me tell you what Hamas wants, okay? So they agreed to send all the hostages back, okay? And that's one thing I don't want to hear anymore. Everyone keeps saying, release the hostages, bring them home, okay? Well, the own Israeli government, they don't really care about the hostages as much as you guys do. They're the ones who you really need to, talk to and demand this from, because October 8th, so the day after October 7th, Hamas agreed to give them all of their hostages back. They agreed to release all of them, okay? But Israel was not willing to come to their terms, so it just didn't work out. But they've offered them back multiple times, and Israel keeps rejecting it. This is what Hamas wants. So they want a complete ceasefire. I don't even know what's the point of a 60-day ceasefire. Like, they've suffered enough. This has been going on for 2 years, literally. And enough is enough. I mean, who wants only a temporary truce? It doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense to just end the war completely. So that's what they're asking for. They want full withdrawal of Israeli troops. They want them completely out of Gaza. And they also offered, theoretically, to give up power on Gaza, but not until Israel brings a permanent end to the war. Okay? So that's actually one of the things Israel's not able to kind of compromise with them on. They want them to completely get out, the complete dismantling and disarmament of Hamas. And, according to the UN General Assembly resolution, they are a foreign occupied nation. And being a foreign occupied nation means you have the right to resistance. So, which means they do have the right to arms. So to say that, they want them to stay as a stagnant little country, to stay defenseless against their occupation, it's just absurd. It doesn't make sense. Why would anybody agree to that? Why would they agree to that? Why would they agree to not being able to resist against your occupying power? Israel is the one that's continued to blockade and completely besiege the population since since 1978. I mean, the creation of Hamas. That's the whole reason why they were created, is to revolt against this type of occupying power. Now, along with those two things, the permanent end to war, the withdrawal of the troops, they also want the free flow of entry of the aid into Gaza, not their Gaza Humanitarian Fund, real aid, like the World Food Program, UNRWA, and hundreds of other nonprofit organizations that are just waiting to get in there and help the people of Palestine. They keep blaming Hamas, but ultimately you have to look at what Israel is doing. I mean, at the end of the day, this was their plan. They wanted a reason. They wanted a so-called 9/11 event that will cause them to, take whatever means necessary to complete the vision that they have for Israel, which is completely ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. And government officials have called for this publicly. I mean, there's no denying that. Or the killing of Palestinians, right? So they have the right to so they have the space, I guess, to bring in the rest of the Jews and offer them free housing, free healthcare using US dollars, US tax dollars. And it makes sense why they don't want to agree to a ceasefire, because it would mean the end to their colonial settler project. And they don't want that. I mean, they already have a lot of deals made. They have real estate projects in the pipeline. I mean, they have their main envoy, what's her name? Barbara Weiss. She's out there, literally already signed up, I think, 30 families to live in Gaza once the genocide is done, when they kick all the Palestinians out into Libya or Morocco and whatever other country is willing to take them. I mean, they're trying to destroy the Palestinians' right to return, and they want to continue their colonial expansion of Israel, because ultimately it leads to their religious prophecy that they need to bring all the Jews into their homeland, and eventually the Messiah will come and save them all. And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, the Torah doesn't explicitly say this. And this is just something that, there's right-wing people like Ben Gvir and Smotrich, they've been perpetuating. And we can blame Netanyahu all day and night, but he needed a way to get reelected. And he decided to partner with these two fascist, very extreme Zionist, political, most racist people you can ever think of. And this was their plan all along. I mean, even if you look at Ben Gvir, he was part of the Koch political party, which was deemed a terrorist organization by the U.S. Because what they were doing back then, when they were very active, was basically killing all the Arabs and any British people, literally anyone that came in their way of their vision, their ideology. So that's all you need to know about the people that are that they don't want peace. I mean, they keep blaming Hamas, but really it's Israel that doesn't want peace. This is all part of their plan. And they're the savages. They're the barbarians. They're the ones that we need to really question and look at and think, you know, can you even negotiate with people like that? Because you can't. You can't. You just need to find a way to stop them. The same way we had Hitler. How did we stop Hitler? We got huge powers involved, and that's how he was able to go down. I mean, that's just my take on it. I think the time for peace has long gone. We got to use how we stopped Hitler back then, because this is the modern day Hitler Nazi society that we're dealing with. And yeah, I stand by that. All right, you guys, moving on. I want to talk about the Nelk Boys podcast. Now, I'll be honest, I never really heard about these guys up until this week. But yeah, they're your typical fraternity white bros that, I don't know, started a podcast. I don't even know what the majority of their show is about. They did start off as a pranking show, and then they grew into the political side because when Trump was campaigning, and he saw that they captured an audience of like the younger white male conservative, I guess, Republicans in America. So it was pretty interesting. When Netanyahu was visiting the US, he actually did a pit stop and decided to do a podcast with these two very uneducated young boys. I mean, honestly, I don't know what kind of interview. It wasn't even an interview. It was more of like a sit down, but it makes sense because the Israeli media propaganda, I mean, they're losing the PR war. Like, that's literally what it is. And he wanted a way to garner more support. And he thought, oh yeah, you know, these are, you know, they have the Trump supporter base here. I think I can garner some more support for Israel, because there was a poll. I think it's up to 50% of Republican, white male Republicans that have unfavorable views of Israel. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all pro-Palestine. They could just be against the fact that, you know, $3.8 billion US tax dollars are being sent to Israel every single year. And it's to fund their Iron Dome, the military projects, give their citizens free housing, free healthcare, you know, things that Americans, we don't even get. And I think people are sick of it. I think, you know, the MAGA base, they're very America first, even though Trump doesn't seem to be America first at this point. So, yeah, I don't know. Netanyahu thought he can score some points through them, but it definitely backlashed, okay? Because it, like I said, it wasn't a real interview. Here is a clip of them asking him about, oh, what about the starvation? What about that? Can you tell us about that? Take a look.
Why do they say Israel's like starving the people of Gaza?
Well, because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens when we let them in? Hamas steals the food, takes the good chunk for itself, then they jack up the prices, and then they sell the food to its population, to its hungry population, if they give them at all, and then use the money that they take from their own people to recruit more killers into their terror machine.
Yeah, so as you can see, he basically just lies and says it's Hamas stopping the aid. And you guys, this is literally like Israel 101. They don't have any claims to back this up. They just say these things and you have to take it at face value. It's just crazy to me that people literally will watch this and still believe him, even though there's no video, there's no shroud of evidence. There's nothing to back up this claim, but they're going to look at this interview and be like, yes, this is exactly what's happening. Whereas we have videos of Israeli settlers running and looting aid trucks. They're literally dropping flowers, all the flour bags on the floor. And another thing that we found is that they're stuffing oxy and different types of drugs into these flour bags that they're handing out at these aid distribution sites. So we have video evidence of this. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
We are here to block them. This time we managed to just destroy all the food that was supposed to go to the Hamas. No food should go into Gaza till we do not get our hostages back.
I think this is the funniest part. They decided to press him on more important issues like, what is your favorite fast food? And this just seems very tone deaf right after talking about the starvation of the Gazan people. I mean, like I said, this is a forced starvation. It's a man-made famine. It's not like these resources are complete. It happened because of nature. No, it's happening because of the Israeli government, because of him. And it just seemed so tone deaf. Take a look.
What's your go-to at McDonald's?
No, I'll tell you, Burger King. We did the double,
Whopper?
The double.
I haven't ripped Burger King in a long
It's
time.
not.
Burger King kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No,
the,
you're wrong.
the BK Lounge can hit.
I disagree completely.
You like Burger King over McDonald's?
That's your worst take, I think.
So yeah, I mean, these boys, just from looking at it, I mean, they look like weasels. And if you look like a weasel, you are a weasel. And they're just pathetic. I mean, they literally had no idea. They had nothing to back it up. They had no way of pressing him more on these issues. They didn't go in prepared, like trying to set up like the other, counter argument to all these things. They literally were one of those average people that took for face value what he was saying, be like, yeah, oh yeah, that's definitely what's going on. I can't completely hate on them because actually the next podcast they decided to bring in the differing views. I mean, people that are very anti-Israel to talk about, the discrepancies in that interview and how they failed ultimately. And they actually admitted that, yeah, they didn't go in prepared. They didn't really know how to ask him these questions. And they actually don't really know what's going on over there. They really don't know what's going on. Even though one of them said that he follows his friend who's very pro-Palestine. He said his name was Bilal Muhammad. He watches his stories every single day. And it's like, okay, if you see his stories, then you could have used a little bit of that information. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it to them. They approved. They said that they were wrong and they were ready to kind of like put Netanyahu down. So yeah, I would say that definitely failed for him. Okay, so I just really want to cover this next congressman. It's just crazy to me. I mean, it's not that crazy. We already know there's a lot of super Zionist neocons that are running our government. I mean, our U.S. government is compromised. It's fully compromised by people who are literally getting bribed by AIPAC, the biggest foreign lobbying group for Israel. But here you guys can see Congressman Randy Fine. He's a Republican for the U.S. representative of Florida. Florida is where all the Zionists are. He went ahead and tweeted this, okay? He retweeted this ABC News article talking about how 15 people have died, including 4 children from famine and malnutrition in Gaza. And he replied by saying, release the hostages. Until then, starve away. Parentheses, this is all a lie anyway. It amazes me that the media continues to regurgitate Muslim terror propaganda. Yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because when all this is over, right? I mean, these people that were so blatant in their support in Israel, like they will be held accountable. I mean, there's no way someone like that is going to be not held accountable. You can't get away with saying stuff like that. I mean, tides are already turning where it's becoming very controversial to support Israel. I mean, it's so hard to defend them. Again, at this point, I mean, you're literally defending the indefensible. So it's just, I just had to put it in there so you guys can see like what pigs are running our government. And it's just funny coming from this guy who literally looks like he can't stop eating food. He literally can't stop eating. So, yeah, maybe you need to go on like a diet, Mr. Randy Fine, because it's not looking good for you. Never mind the fact that we've seen 21 months of footage, testimonies from doctors, I mean, showing us the x-rays of bullets in kids' heads, and like, testimonies from surviving journalists, aid workers, what they're witnessing on the ground. I mean, it's all been so horrific. They see some of it. They see some of it because this is an ongoing debate in the White House. And when they're in Congress, I mean, they're just always trying to find something, a new lie to cover up all this stuff that we're literally seeing with our own eyes. And it's just like, we're not buying it anymore. You're the one that's just in denial. So yeah, Randy finds his time will come. So the next thing I want to cover is the new Superman movie. Now, I know it came out, I think about 2 weeks ago. I literally just saw it and, yeah, there was a lot of outrage online because people were saying Superman is pro-Palestine. And I have to say, it's true. There was a lot of Palestine and Israel references in this film. It's pretty much uncanny. And it's actually great because I know a lot of the Zionist Israeli supporters, they actually got offended. They got offended by the Superman movie. I mean, it's pretty telling, someone that's guilty thinking that it's about them, even though it's based on fictional characters. So I want to make sure I get this right. It's based on a highly advanced fictional country called Boravia, which is an ally of the US. And they are a country that's trying to colonize and attack a defenseless neighboring nation called Jarhimpur. And these are people who live behind a fence and they literally have no weapons. They have nothing. They don't stand a chance against their military power. And that is obviously very symbolic of the Palestinian struggle against Israel. So the invading country, the US ally, receives billions of dollars from Lex Luthor, this evil tech billionaire that wants Superman gone because he basically helped the Jorhanpurians by attacking Boravia when they tried to kill the defenseless brown people. And that's what's really interesting is that it's brown people. It looks like it can be taking place anywhere in the Middle East. And Boravia, again, they're white. And then also their president, I think he represents the first prime minister, Ben Gurion. I mean, here's a side-by-side picture of what they look like. They have their hair all crazy, looking like crazy scientists. But Mega is pissed off because Superman represents an immigrant. He's undocumented. He falls into the hands of nice, kind, loving parents in Kansas. And he's trying to, find his way in the world by just doing good. And basically the government, since he's foreign and he's an immigrant, they don't really understand him. They want to get rid of him, essentially, because he's going against the U.S. interests and trying to fight Boravia. But one of the things I think was really interesting is that they had a team of monkeys that were spewing online discontent, false information, who were like working on the clock. And that's exactly what Israel does. They have a hub of people sitting there and literally being bots online. And then one very important part of the movie, you see when the fascist state is moving in on the defenseless people, they actually end up pointing a gun at a child. And that's exactly, we see this imagery coming out of Palestine since the late 1900s, this has been going on. We know Palestinians, they don't have weapons, but you'll see little kids throwing rocks and stones at these tanks that were coming at them and sent to destroy their homes so that, Israeli settlers can take over. It was just interesting because a lot of people were getting so offended by this movie saying, oh, how can they make a movie about Israel like this? And it's just funny because no one ever said their name. They're all based on fiction characters. But they even went so far to do counter advertisement. So the Israeli consulate in Los Angeles, they actually made this AI Facebook post showing the real superheroes. And you see the IDF soldiers in comic book fashion saying they're the heroes, but we all know at this point that they're the villains. But it just really reminds me of that one meme where she says, wait, is this play about us? So yeah, I think if you haven't seen the movie already, you should definitely go watch it and piss off some more people that just, they don't want you to see the truth in the artistic, creative way. Next, moving on to something a little bit more fun. So Tesla actually opened its first futuristic diner in Hollywood, California. And this place looks sick. I'm going to put in some pictures for here. You guys can take a look. It's Tesla owner galore. You can go and obviously find a charging spot for your car. But you have robots serving you. It's giving like Star Trek, but like next level. And I mean, I like this concept. I mean, he's supposed to be rolling it out across the nation. Say what you want about Elon. I know, obviously I have my own reserves about him as well, but he's doing what the US government is refusing to do, which is investing in improving the lifestyle of Americans. Americans want to talk smack about China and say Chinese, they were built on peasants, which is true. But they've grown themselves into this world economic power, and the money that they made, they actually put back into their people, improving their lifestyles and improving the infrastructure. China is already there in terms of technological advancement. I mean, they have futuristic cities. They have, firefighter drones. They have drones delivering people's Uber Eats food. It's next level over there. I mean, they're living a way more advanced lifestyle than we are. And I think Elon recognizes that. And, he's a competitive guy. So he's trying to bring that technological advancement to us. So I'm here for it because that's something the US, I mean, with the money that they're taking from our taxpayers, they're not reinvesting back into creating these futuristic cities, which is, again, something that Trump campaigned on. But we haven't seen any action on that. Instead, we've seen him just cut spending and put more money into the military and ICE. Like, that's really going to improve the everyday average American's life. Yeah, we'll see how that goes over the next couple years of his term. But Elon has a vision, and he's not going to let anything get in the way of that. And I wish that's the thing about business people. I mean, they have the vision and they execute on it, not like the government. The last thing I would like to cover is, the US came out and said that they are planning on destroying $10 million worth of contraceptives that they sent over at the beginning of the year. It's been stuck in a warehouse in Belgium, actually. And those contraceptives were actually meant to be sent to poorer nations, such as countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And this just seems like a very weird way to spend, again, our taxpayer dollars. But yeah, since Trump entered term, he actually halted aid to foreign countries, if you guys remember that. All countries except Israel. Israel still continues to get aid from the US, even though he paused that. And since they ended that initiative, they decided that, we're not going to really put more money into distributing these contraceptives into these countries like we planned. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of them. So they're paying an extra almost $200,000 to send all those contraceptives to France to get burned. All of it just burned. $10 million down the ground. Down the drain. Some of the congressmen, they find this problematic, and they actually tried to introduce bills to stop the US from doing this. But there's no point. I mean, once they decide they're going to do something, they're going to do it. But what's interesting is when you look into why is the US sending that many contraceptives to poor nations anyways? Right? I mean, this initiative is usually targeted to African, sub-Saharan countries and also Muslim countries where the birth rate is usually high. And when I dug a little into this, it all ties back to demographic engineering. And they believe that if they can control the population and slow the population growth, that will actually make it easier for these Western powers to go in and steal their resources, because it leads to less political instability, less people to revolt against them to coming in and just taking what they want because they can and they feel like it. So, I mean, this has been going on for, decades at this point. It's pretty sad. And it's something that I feel like most Americans don't know. But literally $10 million just down the drain, and they couldn't execute it. So it's just going to be gone. And that pisses me off. I feel like if you're an American, that should also piss you off. Like, what? That's money, that we're literally burning that money to the ground that we can use towards helping our people. But the US just has its own, US government just has its own interests that they like to act on. And, they use us as their pawns to get there. And the sooner you guys realize that, the faster we can kind of get to some kind of revolution to make sure that doesn't continue to happen. But until then, I mean, it is what it is. It's just what's going to keep happening until everyone gets that revelation. But guys, that was a lot of information that we unpacked, and really excited that you were able to join me on my first ever episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in if you made it all the way to the end. And yeah, just leave a comment or review. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.